Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today we're going to do the 1 to 75 leveling guide for Mage to Sorcerer using Fireball and Meteor. And once we get towards the end game, when we got into the level 75, 85, 90 timelines, we were mostly using Meteor because it was taking up half our screen, it was one-shotting the mobs. Fireball was more of our single target against high health rares and against bosses, but overall the build was really fun to play. We had Flamethrower no taken, so fireballs were just going everywhere. Meteor was a single huge projectile that took up half the screen. Felt great to just clear a whole bunch of mobs that you've rounded up all at once. And then of course, for this leveling guide, I'm going to stop at all the same points that I normally do. I'm going to show you where I'm putting my points, why I'm putting my points there. The first couple of updates, level 4 through 19, we still thought we had the audio issue, so there's not as much talking, but after that, the audio issue was fixed, and it'll be really detailed and all of that. Again, in the description below, we will also have the written guide and all of the links for everything, the loot filter, the rating of the build, everything that you would possibly need in order to do this. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's go ahead and get started. We haven't found a single item, but I'm going to go ahead and spec it. That should be the first thing we go for. And we got 2 points, which I'm going to go with Arcanist. For skills, we got 3 more points. All 3 of them going to go into Adept. We're going to go ahead and spec into Flame Ward. We're going to go with the Duration. 1 point there. For passives, we got 6 more points. We're going to max out Arcanist. Boom. Oh. Alright, for skills, 1 more point in Fireball. We're going to go ahead and put it into the Unchained Fire. You now only fire a single projectile, which is what it has been. But since we don't have any extra projectiles, it's still going to be the same. But you get 12% more damage, a little more cast speed, but you got to take it in order to get to the Flamethrower. For Flame Ward, we're going to cap out the Dilation for the duration and then put into some good old extra ward. And then for passives, what do we got? Another 3 points. Let's go ahead and go with I'm gonna go Scholar. Get the extra mana, and we have Teleport now.
Flame Ward, 3 more points. We're going to put it all into less hit damage. And then we're going to spec into... we'll get Meteor soon. We might end up swapping it out with Meteor, so I think we'll just do Teleport for now. Swap it with Meteor afterwards. Yeah, we'll just go with 3 points there. Boom. Passives, 8 more points. We'll cap out the Scholar. And then Knowledge of Destruction. Alright, Travelers, I'm now level 25. We've made it to the end of time. We're about to choose our Mastery, but before we do, we'll go over the character sheet real quick. Still working on all of our resistances at this point. Going into the next chapter, you're going to want to build into Necrotic quite a bit more and make sure that you have your physical up, because that's what you're going to encounter a lot of. You're going to want that physical resist, you're going to want that Necrotic, or there's a good chance you might, land on your face a couple of times and have a couple of deaths. We still have a little bit of armor, a little bit of dodge, not really building into it too much. We have quite a bit of fire damage that we're trying to build into, but we just haven't got too much of it yet. We still have, a lot of magic items. We don't even have all rare items, so keep looking for fire damage, keep looking for cast speed, and then of course having a weapon with the highest adaptive spell damage you can is going to be the best at this point. For skills, we got 3 more points for Fireball. We're going to put 1 into Ghost Fire so that we can guaranteed Pierce, and then we're going to put 2 points into Wing Fire so that we have more range, so it'll go a little bit further, and we'll do 14% more damage with it. Then for Flame Ward, we got 2 more points. We're going to max out the barrier for the less hit damage taken. For Teleport, 1 more point in Resonant Plasma. We'll take both decoys, and then we'll also put 1 point in Elemental Affinity, so we get a little bit more fire damage out of it. And then we're going to go ahead and choose our Mastery before we do passives. We're obviously going to be a Sorcerer. We're going to get that nice extra mana, and then we'll also deal more damage based on the cost of the skill that we're doing. And this will also unlock Meteor, which will be the next skill that we spec into when we hit level 34. And then for passives, we got 8 more points. We're going to put 1 point in Knowledge of Destruction. You will want to max this, but we'll come back to it later. For now that we have 20 points in here, we can move on to the Sorcerer. And we're going to go ahead and put all of the rest of our points into Brainstorm because we really want that mana regen. As at this point, you realize Fireball is really expensive when you channel it. You obviously don't regen while channeling, but right afterwards, you really want as much mana back as quick as possible while you're running in between mobs. And that'll be it for this update. See you guys at level 34. Alright, travelers, I'm now level 34. We've opened up our 4th specialization slot. For the character sheet, we have just over 500 health. Still working on the resistances. We got quite a bit of physical. The rest, we're still working on getting them up. And then we still have that 12% armor and 5% dodge, but we're not really building into either of those. We have increased our spell damage quite a bit. We have a little bit more critical strike multiplier, and we have more fire damage than we had before with 43%. But once we get into Meteor, we're going to get into Craterborn, and we'll get extra fire damage and cast speed that way, which will be really nice for the DPS. For skills, we got 3 more points for Fireball. We're going to cap out the Winged Fire so that our Fireballs will go much further. This will also get us 14% more damage. And then we're also going to put 1 point in Fire Spray. And because we can actually fire extra projectiles, we have single projectile when we're doing channeling. Our mana cost right now is 36. But what this is going to do is we put a point in there. The channel cost stays the same, so you don't actually have a mana cost increase. And then because we do the single projectile, we get 12% more damage for each extra projectile. So this is actually a 24% more damage modifier for us with no mana cost. So it's very nice to get into there. It's a lot of extra damage for no extra cost. Then for Flame Ward, we got 3 more points. We're going to go ahead and put all 3 of them into Star Ward Defense just so we get more ward when we activate it. For Teleport, we got 4 more points. We're going to put them all in Crystalline Passage. So we get 20% cold damage and we get 200 armor as long as we keep teleporting every 4 seconds, which is really nice for defense. As it also puts out the decoys, it really helps with our survivability. And then for our 4th specialization, we are going Meteor. Now, 2 things about Meteor. We are going to go into Craterborn, but we're not going to go into the Cycle of Fire yet because we are channeling Fireball. It doesn't really do us any good for this, because this is like a per time that you cast it. So the mana back is something we might change to at endgame, but for right now, we just want that increased fire damage. And then to make Meteor not so bad, we're going to put 1 point in Force of Impact, and then we're going to put 3 points in Aftermath so that we can get 45% of the mana back from casting it. So when we cast it, it'll cost 57 mana. We'll get about 25 of that back. And then for passives, we got 13 points. We're going to cap out the Brainstorm for that mana regen spell damage. We're going to put 8 in Calculated Destruction, so we have a much higher chance to crit. We're going to put 1 point in Pyromancer so that once we unlock the Lavamancer, we can build into that. We really want that fire damage leech. It's going to help keep us alive. The penetration is also nice. And then the last 3 points all into Wisdom for that int, which gives us increased damage, and for the mana so we can cast things for a longer period of time. And that's going to be it for this update. I'll see you guys at level 42. Alright, travelers, I'm now level 42. We're just about to take on the Regarian Matriarchs. Right now we've got a lot of physical, a lot of cold. We've really been using that to our advantage. Still taking a lot of damage where we're at, so if you have extra health that you have on some gear, really going to be helpful. We're still trying to cap out the elemental. We'll obviously cap out physical, and then of course we'll be working into the void and necrotic as well. Not really going for much armor or dodge. We're still building into fire damage. Got over 100% now, almost 100% spell damage, and we have almost 250% critical strike multiplier. So we are critting more often now that we built into those passives with the increased critical strike chance, and doing a lot more damage with our crits. We also switched to a two-handed weapon, which is making Meteor and Fireball hit much harder. For skills, we've got 2 more points for Fireball. Going to go ahead and throw both of them into Skyra's Gambit. We don't really care about the cast speed because we are channeling, and this will just give us 4% more base crit chance with it, so a lot more Fireball is going to be critting now. Then we're going to put 2 points in Arcane Divergence. This will not increase the mana cost of channeling, and this will give us, for each one of these extra projectiles, it's 12% more damage. So we'll get almost 50% more damage when we put into that. For Flame Ward, 2 more points. We're going to put 1 in Fire Aura, and then we're going to cap out the Star Ward defense. For Teleport, 3 more, all of them into Elemental Affinity, so we'll have 30% more fire damage for 4 seconds after teleporting. And for Meteor, we're going to go ahead and put 2 points into Extinction. This means that we'll have a 20% chance for a large meteor to appear. It's going to have a 100% increased area. And then, of course, this gives it more base crit chance. So Fireball will have 4% more crit chance now, and Meteor has 4% more crit chance now, which means we'll be doing a lot more crits as we continue on through the campaign. We'll put 2 points in Crushing Force. It's more hit damage, and then even more hit damage to enemies that have full health. So if you're just running through and rounding them up and dropping off the meteors, you're going to probably be doing damage to them at full health, which will make it hit much harder. Maybe you'll get to one-shot a lot of the trash mobs, even some of the magic mobs. And then the last 3 points, we're going to go in Apocalyptic Impact. For me, I want as big an area as possible, so this is going to make it almost 100% larger, which is really nice for rounding up large groups of mobs and just absolutely annihilating them. For passives, we got 12 more points. Going to go ahead and cap out the Lavamancer. Now we've got 15% fire penetration, and we leech another 1.5% of all the damage that we're doing, since all of our damage is fire type. We'll put 5 points in Crackling Precision. This will give us another 50% critical strike chance, and 2 points in Arcane Obliteration, which will be the next thing we cap, so that we'll have more critical strike multiplier for all the spells that we do. And that'll be it for this update. I'll see you guys at level 49, and we'll spec into our 5th skill. Alright, travelers, I'm now level 49. We've got almost 700 health. We got our resistances up. We've got almost the elemental capped. Physical's almost capped. We're still working on Void and Necrotic. We're about to do Lilith and Lagon, though, so the physical, the cold, and the lightning are the ones we want really high. And as I said, we almost have those caps, so these fights should be pretty easy. Still not much armor, not dodge. We're not building into dodge at all. For damage, we got almost 100% spell damage. We have just over 100% fire damage. A lot of that comes from an idol. We got a really good idol that rules doubled fire damage if you have over 300 max mana, so that's giving us 46% right now, and of course we'll get another 46% once we get a little bit more mana. We'll build into that later. And then our crit multi is sitting at about 240, but again, we have more spell crit multi in our passives, and then we also have crit multi which we'll have in the meteor tree itself, so it'll be hitting much harder. Then for our skills, we've got 1 more point for Fireball. We're going to put it into the Arcane Divergence. Remember that the extra projectiles, we're not actually getting extra projectiles, but this mana cost, since we're channeling, the channel cost stays at 36. The mana cost does not affect us, but for each of those extra projectiles, we deal 12% more damage. So this is actually a 24% more damage multiplier, which is really powerful. So we're going to put 2 points in there for even more damage with Fireball. For Flame Ward, we got 1 more point. We're going to put it into Infusion so that when it's active, for that few seconds, we're going to get increased fire damage. Teleport, we're going to cap out the Crystalline Passage, so we get that cold resistance and that flat armor, so we're a little more protected for 4 seconds after teleporting. Then for Meteor, we're going to put 1 more point in Extinction. That's more base crit chance. It's also going to give us another 10% chance for a large meteor, which will have that 100% increased area effect. That'll allow us to put a point in Astral Cataclysm for more crit multiplier. We have very high crit chance. Eventually, we will get to 100% crit chance with this, which is going to allow us to just always crit and just do massive critical strike damage. And we're going to put 1 more point in Apocalyptic Impact for that increased area, because we just want it to take up the whole screen and hit as much as possible. And then for our 5th skill, we're going to go ahead and spec into Focus for now. You can spec into Arcane Ascendance if you want and try that out. I'm going to go with Focus. We're going to stop using Mana Strike. And then for this skill, we're going to go ahead and put 4 points in the Mana Flooded, so we get that 100% mana regen. And then 2 points into the Revelation so that we get that ward from the Burst 1 second after channeling. So we can try and channel it for 1 second, get as much mana as possible. For passives, we got 8 more points. We're going to cap out the Crackling Precision for another 30% critical strike chance. 3 points in Arcane Obliteration, so we'll have another 30% critical strike multiplier with our spells, both Meteor and Fireball. And then we're going to go ahead and cap out Spellslinger. We got 2 points right now, but we'll build into that for that mana regen and for that adaptive spell damage. And then after that, you're going to want to build into Archmage for that huge amount, that 15 adaptive spell damage you can get, because by then we will have over 200 mana. And that'll be it for this update. I'll see you guys at level 55. Alright, Travelers, I'm now level 55. We've got almost 750 health. We're still working on our resistances. Elemental still almost capped. Physical almost capped. Still working on the Void and Necrotic. Would be nice to get our Necrotic up before we face the Abomination here soon. We have 9% armor, no percent dodge. We're still not working into either of those. Don't really care too much about them. For damage, we have quite a bit more spell damage at this point. We're up to almost 170%. We have almost 150% fire damage. This also gets increased every time we fire off a meteor, every time that we use flame or flame ward, because it gives us that boost of fire damage. So those two together will put us over 200%, which is really nice. And then for our critical strike multiplier, it went down a little bit, but we still have that critical strike multiplier inside of Meteor Tree and inside of our passives for spells. For skills, we got one more point for Fireball, which we're going to put into the Arcane Divergence. Again, this added mana cost does not affect the cost, but you are getting that 24% more damage. So it's very nice. It's going to increase that damage percent. Your tooltip's going to go up. It's going to be very nice. You're going to deal a lot more damage with it. For Flame Ward, another point in Infusion for 50% more fire damage. For Teleport, we're going to cap out the Elemental Affinity. For Meteor, we're going to put one more point. We're going to cap out the Extinction. That's going to give us the highest amount of base crit chance that we can get. And now we have a 40% chance for that large Meteor. So we're just going to take up, half to the whole screen with a Meteor, which is awesome. And then we got 10 more points for Focus. We're going to cap out the Revelation. We're going to put 1 point in Energy Infusion so we get haste when we're done using Focus. We'll put 1 point in Desperate Meditation so that we have even more mana regen based on how much mana was missing when we started it. We're going to put 1 point in Resolute Stance and then 5 points in Prismatic Stance so that will take 25% less elemental damage while we are focusing. For passives, we got 7 more points. We're going to cap out the Spellslinger, which is going to give us that mana regen and that adaptive spell damage. 2 points in Mana Shell for more mana. We're still trying to work towards the 300, so our idols will double. And then we're going to go ahead and put the last 2 points we have in Archmage for that adaptive spell damage. We're going to cap this out next, and then we'll probably cap out Mana Shell. Then we'll go back to Mage. We're going to want to cap out the Knowledge of Destruction for that crit chance and that crit multi. And then after that, you can kind of put the points wherever you want. That'll be it for this update. I'll see you guys at level 65. Alright, Travelers, I'm now level 65. We have just over 1,000 health. We're still working on our resistances. We capped out physical, but we're still working on all the rest, trying to get a little bit elemental. When we do teleport, we get our cold and our fire up quite a bit. We also get an additional bit of armor for damage reduction, so it's alright. But as we get higher into the monolith, as we get higher level, we are going to want to cap all of them except for poison. For damage types, we still got about 100% spell damage, just over 100% fire damage, and our critical strike multiplier went down a little bit, still changing gear around a little bit. For skills, we got 2 more points for Fireball. We're going to put them both into the base crit chance, just so we can get really close. We have about 80% crit right now on this build. For Flame Ward, 2 more points in Infusion for another 100% fire damage. For Teleport, we're going to cap out the Resonant Plasma, and then we're also going to put a point into Stable Duplicates, just so that we can have them last a little bit longer. And then for Meteor, we got 2 more points. For this, we're going to go ahead and cap out the Apocalyptic Impact for the most area that we can get. And then 1 more point in Astral Cataclysm for that critical strike multiplier. For Mana Strike, we got 2 more points. Going to put them both into armor. So Iron Stance, 2 points there. For passives, we're going to cap out the Archmage so that we can get all of that spell damage. And now that we have more than 200 mana, we're actually getting 15 here instead of 5. Then we're going to put 1 point in Wisdom for that int and mana. And then we're going to go back to the Mage base class. And we're going to cap out the Knowledge of Destruction for more critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier. So we'll hit harder and hopefully crit more often. And that'll be it for this update. I'll see you guys at level 75. Alright, Travelers, I'm now level 75, and we've made it all the way to the level 90 timeline. We're in the winter timeline. We've got just over 1200 health. We're still working on our resistance a little bit. We're actually going to cap out elemental with our passives right now. All we need is a little bit more physical and necrotic on our gear, and we would be good to go. We did switch back to a one-hand prophecy wand at level 74, and then we switched back to a catalyst as well, and got away from the two-hand weapon, which allowed us for a couple more suffixes on the catalyst for our defense. And then you can see we're at about 17% armor. If you do have a slot or you have a piece of gear that has increased armor or flat armor on it, it's going to be really powerful because remember, this is resistance, or not resistance, but this is damage reduction for all of your resistance types, so it's really powerful. We're not building into dodge. We do have 200% ward retention. We did pick up a bit of int. And then for our damage types, we've got just over 250% critical strike multiplier. We have another 90% inside of Meteor Tree, so it hits really, really hard. We've got almost 200% spell damage. We have just over 200% fire damage. Again, once we hit 300 mana, which we haven't done yet, this is going to go up by quite a bit because we have about 100% fire damage on idols. That will double once we hit that 300 point. For skills, we got one more point for Fireball. We're going to go ahead and put this one into Winged Fire. We did have a point here before, but we had +1 on the chest piece. We swapped it out for a +3 on Meteor. And then for Meteor, we ended up pointing those points. We capped out the Astral Cataclysm, we capped out the Apocalyptic Impact, we put a second point in Craterborn, and then we put 1 point in Celestial Celerity. So again, I do have a chest that has +3. We did find that. If you don't have it, don't worry about the Celestial Celerity, and don't put more than 1 point in Craterborn. In fact, you don't have to put any here if you don't want, but the 20% cast speed is nice, and it's a little extra fire damage. My very last point, I'm going to go ahead and put it into Crushing Force, just to get a little bit more damage. We are hitting enemies when they have full health, because we're just kind of kiting them, and then we just throw down 1 meteor, so it's a lot of extra damage on that first hit, which allows us to one-shot a lot of the enemies. For Flame Ward, we're going to cap out the infusion for that fire damage, so we now get 250% fire damage right after we cast Flame Ward and it's active. For Teleport, we're going to go ahead and put 1 point in Elemental Dawn, just so that we get a little bit of an AoE when we teleport, might kill a trash mob. We are doing quite a bit of spell damage and critical strike multiplier, and we have very high crit chance, so there's a good chance you'll do some good damage with it. And then with Focus, we're going to put 1 more point in Iron Stance for another 100 flat additional armor while we are using it. It's nice to have that damage reduction, as you are stuck standing still while you channel, and you're probably going to take a hit or two while you wait for that ward or the mana from the burst to take effect. And then for passives, we got 10 more points. We're going to go ahead and go into Spellblade. We're going to put 6 points into Elemental Affinity. This is going to give us more elemental damage, and this also gives us Elemental Resist. So if we go back to the Elemental Resist that we have, you'll notice that now we're capped. We're done. No more need for Elemental Resist. We'll just focus on the physical and the necrotic. That leaves us with 4 more points. We'll go back to the Sorcerer. We're going to put him into Wisdom. More int, more damage, and then of course more mana. Like I said, we're still trying to work towards that 300 mana, but we don't have very far to go now. We just need like 1 piece of gear or a couple of idols that have increased on it. We'll be there in no time. But that's it for this build guide. You should be able to just, I mean, we're absolutely just kind of annihilating. You can see our Fireball has a 90,000 damage tooltip. Once you have Flame Ward active, boom, it's 120,000. It hits really, really hard. Your Meteor's doing, 60,000 plus. It's doing about 6 to 8k crits on the enemies, depending on what level you are at this point. Once we get to level 100 and Empowered, it's obviously going to do a little less damage. But the build planner will be in the written guide. And like I said, we switched back to a one-handed Catalyst and a one-handed Prophecy Wand instead of a two-hander. If you want to wear a Sorcery Staff, you can. It's going to have a lot more adaptive spell damage. It's going to hit a lot harder. But that's it for this build guide.